Good morning. It is 8 a.m. on Tuesday, June 11th, 2024, and I am bringing the Economic Development Authority meeting to order. First item of business is the roll call, and we do have a quorum present. Second item, 2.1, EDA, May 14th, 2024 minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 3.1, administrative activities for May 2024.
Good morning, President and Commissioners. You have the report in your packet. I'll just highlight a few things. Note under the EDA report, staff met with a representative from Gray Hospitality while he was in town last week doing a site visit for the hotel feasibility study. We had a very good, productive meeting, so that is kicking off, and he expects to have some preliminary information for us in about a month, and a final report by the end of summer. Note under the Get It Ready loan program, one loan closed in the amount of $19,000. And note under the rental properties report, city staff is working to prevent the demolition of the rental house at 320 North Broadway. We're exploring the possibility of moving that to another lot and then selling it. So that is in the works. Those are all of the items I would have wanted to highlight. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Seeing no questions, I'll make a motion to approve the administrative activities report for May of 2024.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4.1, public housing operating budget.
All right, this is the kickoff to our budgeting season. We always start with the public housing budget first. It has to be approved and submitted to HUD before July 1st at the beginning of the fiscal year. So the public housing operating budget covers day-to-day operations of our 50 public housing units. 40 of those units are at Broadway House Apartments, and then we have 10 scattered site family unit rental houses. The operating budget is for the upcoming fiscal year, July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. We work with our fee accountant to assemble the budget and put it into the proper HUD format. For the current fiscal year through May, we have a surplus of about $339,000. The projected surplus for the upcoming budget is just under $125,000. So we're doing well. And the capital funds are not part of the operating budget. Those are separate.
I reviewed it. I did not have any questions on the budget.
Either.
I'll offer the resolution to adopt the public housing operating budget for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2025.
I'll second that.
We have a
to roll
motion
call.
and a second. Any further discussion? Director Brakel, please call the roll.
All right, Commissioner Berg,
Yes.
Commissioner Kalk,
Yes.
Commissioner Betker,
Yes.
Commissioner Henn,
Yes.
President Markgraf.
Yes, that motion carries. Item 4.2, EDA, June 11th, 2024 claims list.
I reviewed the list. It seems pretty typical. That being said, I'll make a motion to approve the claims list.
And second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5.1, transfer funds from Garden Terrace to Economic Development Authority.
And Danielle, this will be your item.
Yes, we are just going to transfer some funds, budgeted transfer of $260,000 from Garden Terrace to the EDA funds, mainly to cover expenses for West Ridge Place. We need to make it positive before the end of the fiscal year, June 30, 2024.
The only question I had is, will that cover the shortfall that we have?
Yes, so we do have some, it's kind of hard to explain, but we have a cash account that does have a positive balance, and adding the 260,000 additional will cover it, yes.
Thank you.
Commissioners, what are your wishes?
Since this amount will cover the shortfall and it is a budgeted transfer, I'll make the motion to transfer funds from Garden Terrace to the Economic Development Authority.
I guess I just have a question. These are operating funds specifically for that, so we just didn't have that account before, or why aren't they in its own account? Why are we transferring it, I guess?
It's covering the costs of the build and the setup, and I don't know, Heather, if you want to.
Going forward, it will be in its own account, or we just keep transferring it as needed, or?
We do transfers as needed, so we have reserves in the Garden Terrace Fund from rent that we collect
Right.
from the tenants. And we've done these transfers periodically into the EDA fund to cover, the Westridge Place was an unbudgeted
Right.
project and was nearly $1 million. So we just need to transfer the money to cover that cost.
Sounds good. I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This is a resolution.
Is it a resolution? Call the roll, please.
All right, Commissioner Berg,
Yes.
Commissioner Kalk,
Yes.
Commissioner Betker,
Yes.
Commissioner Henn,
Yes.
President Markgraf.
Yes, that motion carries. Item 6.1, surplus property.
All right, we have two items I'd like to declare surplus. One item is at 326 North Broadway. There was a time when we had, I think, 3 food trucks renting that lot, and so we had Paul's Electric install another electric panel, so we had enough outlets. In the event that all 3 were there at the same time, they'd all be able to plug in their trucks. They became aware of the potential sale of that lot and approached us to let us know that the New Ulm Girls Fast Pitch Association needs an electric box for their concession stand at Jefferson School. And if we didn't have a need for the box, they wondered if the EDA would be willing to donate it to the Fast Pitch Association, because if they ordered one for them, it wouldn't arrive until the end of the softball season because of supply chain issues. So they said, if you don't have a use for it, you're just going to throw it away. Would you consider donating it? I did email all the city and PUC department heads to see if they had a use for the electric box. We actually had 2. Park and Rec had use for 1, but we still have this one remaining that no one had use for. So I'm just bringing that forward for your consideration this morning. And then in addition, we have emptied another filing cabinet in the housing office. I think this is the 3rd or 4th one we've been able to clear out. The more we go paperless and are scanning our records instead of keeping them in paper form, we just have less use for filing cabinets, so we'd like to get rid of that one and declare that surplus. So just the 2 items.
I like the idea of being able to give it to a nonprofit rather than just throwing it away.
Right, and the developer would have just thrown it away. They had no use for it either, so.
Okay, do we make a motion for that? I make a motion that we donate that. And what about the filing cabinet?
Yeah, so the motion would be to declare the two items surplus and approve the donation.
Okay, I make a motion that we declare the filing cabinet and the electric box surplus, and that we donate it to the New Ulm Girls Fast Pitch, and I don't know where the other one goes.
I'm not sure where the filing cabinet will go. I just know they take it out of my office, and where it goes from there,
So
I have
it's
no idea.
surplus.
It might go on the city garage sale next spring, I'm not sure.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7.1, Economic Development Activity Report.
Right, I'll just run through a few items. The partnership met last month and discussed information gathered from a recent chamber survey, looked at New Ulm demographics compared with other similar-sized communities, and discussed potential housing solutions, as well as progress on the comp plan, which has since been adopted. The child care team, licensing staff brought forward some concerns regarding proposed new regulations at the state level for family license providers that they're concerned will create barriers, could potentially cause existing providers to leave the field and could be a barrier to people wanting to enter the field. So we're doing some advocacy and expressing our concerns to the powers that be at the state. Although the thought was they probably aren't going to change and they probably will be implemented, unfortunately. So that's concerning. Note under the Commercial Property Rehabilitation Loan Program, one closed in the amount of $74,900. That loan was approved by the board last month, and then it closed. Small Business Loan Program closed two loans last month, both in the amount of $10,000. I had a call with a consulting group in Maine who's assisting the state of Indiana with child care solutions, and they wanted to talk to me about Westridge Place. Let's see. And then we had a meeting with staff from Oak Hills to discuss their future. Those are the main highlights.
Thank you, Heather. Unless there's any questions, I'll make a motion to adopt the Economic Development Activity Report for May of 2024.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We do have an addendum to the agenda today, and that is the Newburgh report. Mr. Wessel?
Should have had a report submitted.
Yes.
Are there any questions? A couple of things that I'd just like to highlight for you guys. You know that I'm an older guy, and I won't be around forever. But there are some things that are concerning that I think you guys should all be made aware of, and it pertains to our city. You've heard me for 2 years talk about the importance of manufacturing in our community. Manufacturing has one of the largest multipliers, economic multipliers in our community. For every manufacturing job that's created, there's probably 4 to 5 extra jobs that come. New Ulm is in a unique position where we have satellite manufacturing plants such as Kraft, 3M. Windings is a home-based one. But when you look at corporate people and the way that they determine whether a new project or a plant receives a new project for expansion or contraction, those decisions are not made at the local level. They're made at the corporate level. And I'm concerned, there have been a number of studies recently published where, if you look at our graduating high school classes, 20% of the graduating high school classes leave for out of state. How does that pertain to New Ulm? in the next 10 years, by 2030, there'll be a 40% turnover in our manufacturing workforce due to age. Where are the workers going to come from? Our birth rates are down. Where are workers going to come from? And I bring this up for you guys because these are longer term issues where I won't be around to help solve them. But when a large corporation can't find workers, he has one of two choices. Either I move to where the workers are, or I automate. We must have a workforce ready that understands layers of automation, which is why I have been pushing for our schools to adopt Project Lead the Way and all of those things. One thing I will highlight is that we got a $60,000 grant for the CTE Center for a robotics line. But this takes coordination with the EDA in our school system on elevating the priorities of what our kids are going to be trained to do. Because my concern is if we don't have a readied workforce that understands what's going on in manufacturing in the future, how can we go up to a 3M or to a Kraft and say, choose us because we have a workforce ready that understands where automation is going and we're a viable candidate? We have enough headwinds in this state, you know, especially with the environmental penalties that have been levied against 3M. We have a higher tax rate. We're one of the top 5 highest tax states in the country, which means we have to have an excellent workforce. And so that's what I have been doing to try to develop that undertow and that resource for this community. But I encourage you to engage with our school system. We're building partnerships with Minnesota State University to get closer so that the kids have the right skill sets. But this is going to take strategy on your part to help move things forward in the future.
So what is the purpose? Because Mr. Wessel, you come up here and you say these doom and gloom things all of the time,
These
right?
are facts, Andrea.
I understand that, but you're here and you're accusing us of not doing anything. Like, we are certainly supportive of the CTE Center. We are certainly supportive of the school systems. And I just,
Where was the accusation, please?
we all know what's going on. We're certainly happy to work, and if there is a point or something that we can do, we're certainly happy to do it. I'm very aware of the manufacturing issues. I'm very aware of the brain drain that takes place in rural right now. Like, every community's having these issues. Yes, we're looking at ways that we can be more welcoming and bring in additional workforce. We realize automation is the way. That's something that Newbrick has taken on and that they're running the ball with, and now you're coming in here and you're saying that we're not acknowledging and we're not doing these things. We certainly are. I do agree that there needs to be additional dialogue, and so, maybe we set up another meeting, but I don't know.
What's your point?
What is the purpose? What are we supposed to do?
My purpose is to encourage further collaboration with you and our school system and things like that, because if you do not, we're going to be losing our resources from the graduating.
Correct, and they're
Right.
going to go where they want to go as well.
Can I interject for
Yes,
1 second?
please, Lindsay.
So, as Andrea said, we kind of all understand the direction things are taking with Newbrick, EDA, Chamber. From my understanding, one of the bigger purposes in kind of easing some of these tensions is knowing what our lanes are.
Sure.
And EDA has been very small business focused, supporting our local businesses, amongst other things, supporting the CTE Center. Newbrick has kind of taken on a lot of what you are speaking on. Chamber obviously has their activities. And yes, we all need to work together, but it seems as though it goes from not wanting to step on each other's toes to why aren't we doing this? And I think yes, we all need to work together. But to your point, as far as what are we doing right here, keeping kids here, wanting to work here, I personally don't agree with that mentality of trying to, I think it's a little bit old school way of thinking that the small town you grew up in is the town you need to stay in and the town you need to work in and have a family in. It's to everyone's advantage to go kind of experience life in the way they choose to in terms of where they go to school, whether that's in-state, out-of-state, whether they come back or not come back. What would be ideal is to create a town and a community that's going to draw workers from
there.
everywhere.
Absolutely.
And we're a small town. We can't count on the small number of people we have to carry us through the next 50 years. We're going to need kids from any and every state they want to come from. So I think the
We
comp
also-
plan, the city, everyone's working towards making New Ulm somewhere where if I'm living in Ohio, I'm like, oh, New Ulm, Minnesota, have you seen what they're doing there? I have this degree in automation and engineering, and I want to go there because they're known for this or whatever.
If you recall, I prefaced my remarks by saying that I won't be around a long time, and these headwinds are occurring. And I'm just
we are.
encouraging the EDA to
Yes.
keep this on your radar,
is what
because
we're doing
this
with-
will have a ripple effect in the community. That's all I'm trying to say.
It's certainly on our radar, as is housing, as is business development, as is talent attraction.
We don't have housing for people to come.
They're not going to
Where are
live
they
here.
gonna
They're
go?
not going to be a part of our tax base. They're not going to be part of our workforce. Housing needs to come first. We need to have a place for people to live.
Totally respect that.
Thank you.
I appreciate the input. I appreciate your thoughts and the far-reaching that you do. You're decades ahead of where we are right now, and I do appreciate that as we look into strategic planning coming up. But for now, let's come back to the report. Do you have anything from the first quarter report that you want to highlight, or?
No, just that we're moving with Corey on a large grant with Region 9 and other areas. We'll submit that probably in the July-August timeframe, and that's for technology development. We're finishing up a $150,000 grant that we got with Region 9 for the robotics and automation program, and that'll be completed this month. Other than that, no. Chris and Heather know that we're working on an initiative with Oak Hills as well, and there'll be a group of people going down to Western Homes in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which should be a very eye-opening experience, which is really the future of where long-term care is going as well.
Okay. Is that something that Newbrick is going to have a contract with them?
Pardon me?
Will Newbrick have a contract with Oak Hills?
Yeah, Newbrick and myself, but we'll see how that shakes out. And there'll be more information on that in a couple of months.
Okay. Any further questions on the report?
Nope.
Nope.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Paul, I would invite you to stay for the work session if you are able to. Might be of interest.
With no additional comments, I'll make a motion to accept the New Ulm Business and Resource Innovation Center first quarter report.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There being no further items on the agenda, this meeting is adjourned. We will reconvene in a few minutes for the work session and have Rebound Partners talk to us. Thank you.